Hi guys, this is a full comparison between the Samsung Galaxy A72, S20 Fan Edition Exynos and the S20 Fan Edition 5G. Now on my tripod right now, the S20 FE 5G is placed a bit away from the other two phones. Other phones are placed side by side. This is the formation of my tripod, so I can do nothing about it. So this video will give you an idea about the stability, the colors, the sharpness, the details, and the voice recording quality of these phones. Right now I am recording in 4K at 30 frames per second on all these phones, and after this I'll switch the resolution. This one is now 1080p at 60 frames per second on all these phones. Both the S20 Fan Edition Exynos and 5G can record 4K at 60 frames per second from their front cameras, but the A72 is a mid-range device and it has its limitations. It's really difficult to appear in all these phones at the same time. So my S20 FE Exynos is a bit loose on this tripod, so I am trying to keep it as stable. And lastly, this one is 1080p at 30 frames per second video. One unique feature on the S20 FE Exynos and 5G is that you can pause a video while recording, but the pause button does not appear on the Samsung Galaxy A72. I am walking now to give you an idea about the stability. After this I am going to take you through the camera app features, then the camera comparison, and in the end we'll compare the design, build, the displays, and then finally a speed test between these three phones. Stay tuned and make sure that you have hit the subscribe button and press the like button if you find this video good enough. Before taking a look at the photos, let's get the camera hardware out of the way. A72 has the main 64 megapixels camera with optical image stabilization, and it's got an 8 megapixels telephoto sensor too. Other camera details of this phone are on your screen. S20 Fan Edition Exynos has a 12 megapixels main sensor. It's got a telephoto and ultra-wide camera of 12 megapixels each. Its details are on your screen too. S20 Fan Edition 5G is also using the same 12 megapixels camera sensors, but it's using a different image processing, and that alone can make a big difference. On the front, all these three phones are using a 32 megapixels camera in that tiny punch hole. The camera apps on these phones differ. I mean, there is a big difference of features between the A72 and the S20 Fan Edition. The S20 Fan Edition has all the features that the A72 has, except for that brand new Snapchat Fun mode and the macro mode. A72 has an additional macro camera which also gives it a macro mode. Unfortunately, the S20 FE lacks that. A72 can still not capture ultra-wide night mode images. This is a bug and Samsung has not fixed it yet. S20 Fan Edition can take ultra-wide night mode images. S20 Fan Edition can record videos up to 60 frames per second in 4K and can do 8K videos too. The A72 on the other hand is limited to 30 frames per second for 4K and 60 frames per second for 1080p. S20 Fan Edition can do 4K at 60 frames per second from its front camera too. S20 Fan Edition has a very powerful Pro mode with RAW support. It has an advanced Pro video mode and portrait video mode is there too. And it has a motion detection button in the super slow-mo mode. On the other hand, the Pro mode of the A72 is quite basic. It doesn't have the motion detection button for the super slow-mo either. Let's start off with the selfies today. This is a 32 megapixel selfie from all the phones. First of all these selfies have a different color tone. A72's selfie is sharp as compared to S20 FE Exynos and 5G. The color of my shirt is close to real color on the S20 FE 5G. A72 has made the orange color dull. Skin tone on the S20 FE 5G is more natural. It is better on the S20 FE Exynos, and the A72 has a slightly pinkish color tone. Look at the details on my hair especially. They are the best on the S20 FE 5G and Exynos, but not too sharp on the Galaxy A72. A72 has in fact softened my face and hair. This one is a normal selfie. Look at the skin tone first of all once again. Pinkish on the A72 and shirt's color is once again too different on all the phones. Background has deeper colors on the A72. It has a slightly warm tint on the S20 FE 5G. Exynos falls exactly in between. Details on all the phones are good, but of course the S20 FE 5G and Exynos both have higher amount of details with original colors. This one is a portrait. Edge detection on all the phones is equally good. The only thing where they really differ is the overall color tone once again. I wish the A72 could capture the orange like the S20 FE does. This one is a close selfie in both the normal and then in the portrait mode. This is an outdoor selfie. In the indoor selfies, the A72 made my shirt's color look red, and outdoor it has made it dull. The background highlights are fully blown off on the S20 FE Exynos. A72 does an incredible job with the highlights management. S20 FE 5G is doing a fine job, as you can see the blue sky in the background, which is grey on the A72. Details on the S20 FE are better once again. Same image in the portrait mode. The S20 FE 5G is showing us a blue sky in the blurred background, which is really great. Not liking the background on the Exynos, and A72 is doing a considerably good job here. Another set of outdoor selfies. A72 has made my orange color extra orange this time. This phone is struggling with the colors. My face on the A72 is saturated more than the other two phones. Details on the S20 FE 5G are the best once again. The Exynos variant has taken a good image too. This one is a portrait mode selfie at the same place on all these phones. Let's take a look on the rear camera images, starting off with my own ultra wide images first of all. A72 is doing an impressive job here. Look at the floor, the color and the details are quite good. The background is also looking fine. Dynamic range is good. S20 FE Exynos has punchy colors. S20 FE 5G has a warm look for the ultra wide camera. A72 has the best details for this image. This one is a normal image and something has gone wrong with the A72. It has not captured the colors correctly once again. S20 FE 5G has that extra vibrance once again. S20 FE Exynos has a good picture too. Shadows on the S20 FE 5G appear the darkest. Portrait mode image at the same place. Contrast is high on the S20 FE Exynos, well balanced on the S20 FE 5G, and colors are faded once again on the A72. Rear camera images of my nieces. Keep your eyes on the reds here. Reds are blown off on the S20 FE Exynos. They are accurate on the 5G and fine on the A72. Skin tone on the A72 looks really good. The faces look bright on both the S20 fan editions. Same image in the portrait mode, and check out the depth effect on the S20 fan editions. It looks extremely good. The subject is separated nicely from the background, adding that intense blur. A72 has a very good image, but it lacks depth in colors, while the S20 fan editions have maintained the colors whilst adding that depth effect. S20 fan edition Exynos is just struggling with the reds once again. Here's another close-up. The purpose of this image is to give you guys an idea about the skin tone. Let me know which phone's skin tone do you like the most. Now a series of ultra-wide and normal images is on your way. Keep your eyes on the sky. It is light blue on the A72, more blue on the Exynos S20 Fan Edition, and deep blue on the S20 Fan Edition 5G. S20 Fan Edition 5G has darker shadows, the A72 has brighter shadows. Dynamic range to me looks good in the middle on the S20 Fan Edition Exynos. Same scene through the normal lens of all these phones. Color differences somewhat remain similar. This time the dynamic range looks good on the 5G S20 Fan Edition. Exynos is also doing a good job, while the A72's image looks lifeless. A 3x zoom image from all the phones for those of you who were interested in 8x telephoto of the A72. Take a look and let me know what do you think. In my opinion, the S20 Fan Edition Exynos has the best look for this image. A 10x image from all these phones, and once again the Exynos Fan Edition does the best. 5G has a warmer or yellowish tone and the A72 lacks details. 30x zoom image, and surprisingly, this time the A72 performs better. Another image, the color differences on the sky are visible on all the phones. It is now your personal preference. Which color do you like the most? Drop your choice in the comments. A 3x photo from all the phones once again. 5G S20 Fan Edition has added that pale shade to the image again. Exynos does the best with the telephoto lens. A72's image falls at the second place for me. This one is now a 30x image from all the phones. I'll continue adding some more ultra wide and normal images. A72 at times softens some areas of the images which should be detailed otherwise. Sky color throughout keeps changing. The color of the grass will also give you an idea of how these phones are bringing in the colors. In this image, this shutter looks pinkish on the A72. It's soft and it's not very detailed, but it was light brownish. The real color can be seen on the Exynos and 5G S20 Fan Edition. The details are also better on these two phones. In this image, take a look on the grass. It looks bright on the A72, dull on the Exynos S20 FE, and it is completely fine on the 5G S20 FE. The details on all the phones are good. Dynamic range this time seems better on the A72. This one is a 3x image. Just check out the background. It's different on all the phones once again. This one is a 10x image. And now this is a 30x image from all these three phones. Another series, I had a lot of orange colors to shoot today, and this one once again clearly shows the difference. Exynos S20 FE is once again adding that extra depth to the orange color and it looks more vibrant, but the other two phones have captured it good this time. The real color is being maintained on the A72 and the S20 Fan Edition 5G. Same image in the normal mode, the differences remain same once again. Finally, an indoor ultra wide and then the normal image. The light source is external. A72 has a cooler tone. S20 Fan Edition Exynos has completely changed the color of my sofa. 5G S20 FE has a warmer tone and maintains the sofa's real color. In the normal mode, the A72 has a real color of the sofa once again. 5G S20 FE is the second best in terms of colors, and the Exynos S20 FE is making the colors too deep and dark again. A series of rear camera outdoor and indoor images is now on your way. There are some instances when the A72 shows its capabilities. Its edge detection can come out better than the other devices, the flagships at times. The other two phones offer a better depth effect, but the edge detection helps the A72 stand apart. Dynamic range on the A72 can also surprise you at times. For example, in this image, look at the wall in the front. The A72 has kept it bright, making it visible, while the other two phones have made it dark. Here once again, the shadow management of the A72 is really good. You can literally see underneath that lamp while it's completely blacked out on the S20 Fan Edition Exynos and 5G both. I am a huge fan of the dynamic range on the A72. In the outdoor images, in most of the images, the S20 Fan Edition Exynos makes the colors look dark, which you may or may not like. The S20 Fan Edition 5G does the best color treatment, and even the A72's colors are acceptable, but that deep look on the colors can sometimes cause problems, especially when you have to take a picture only for the sake of capturing those colors. Differences in the indoor images remain the same. At some instances, the A72 can capture even better and higher details. The thing is, A72's camera does not lag far behind. It comes quite close to the S20 FE. The S20 FE is a flagship device, and if the A72 being a mid-ranger can come this much close to a flagship, this is not a bad phone at all. Share your thoughts about these images in the comment section down below. This is your look on the non-night mode and night mode images. A72 still cannot take ultra-wide night mode images, and this feature needs to make its way to this phone as soon as possible. Samsung probably forgot it. Other two phones can take ultra-wide night mode images, but I am not including those here right now to keep a balance between all these phones. Analyze these images and drop your analysis in the comment section down below. And with this we reach the video comparison. So I compared the videos between the common modes on these phones. I started off with 4K at 30 frames per second. Now on all these three phones you can switch from the ultra-wide camera to the main camera without stopping or pausing the video, and I did just that. I switched from the ultra-wide to main camera while recording the video and it was quite flawless for me. Our main difference here between the video mode is that on the S20 fan editions you can pause a video and start recording once again, but the pause button does not appear on the Samsung Galaxy A72. So this is probably a flagship feature which is not going to make its way to the mid-range Samsung devices. Anyways, I was just shooting this video on the same tripod and the hook for my Exynos S20 fan edition was a bit loose. Since I was out and it was quite a busy day for me, I could not really get back to my home and fix this hook for the Galaxy S20 FE Exynos. However, the video shot from this phone still looks quite stable to me. I hope that you guys find it equally stable as well. The phone was shaking, but as you can see, the shake did not really disturb this video. Anyways, I also recorded a video in 60 frames per second on all these phones, and the 60 frames per second result is on your screen. Remember, you guys have to be the judge for these videos. Let me know which phone's video recording capabilities look better to you. In the end, I recorded a 1080p at 30 frames per second video on all these phones, and in this mode you can switch from ultra wide to main camera once again without pausing or stopping the video. And with this we reach the second stage of our comparison, the performance and speed test. I started off with 100% battery on all these phones. Same settings, same Wi-Fi all across, same Android version and same One UI version. All software updates were performed prior to this test. All the phones are using high motion smoothness. A72 is at 90Hz and the other two phones are at 120Hz. The temperature on all the phones was low before starting the AnTuTu throttle test. The first cycle of AnTuTu has now ended. AnTuTu score of the phones is on your screen. After the first run, the S20 FE 5G has hit a temperature of 36 degrees from the front. S20 FE Exynos has gone up to 40 degrees, while the A72 is at 33 degrees. S20 FE Exynos has hit a CPU temperature of 53 degrees. That's Exynos for you. The temperature at the back of the phones is also similar to the front temperature. A72 has lost only 1% battery, Exynos has lost 6% battery, and 5G has lost 5% battery. I'll run the AnTuTu for the second time now. A72 is using an 8nm Snapdragon 720 or 732G chipset. This is an ongoing debate. Samsung has not confirmed the phone's chipset, whether it's 720G or 732G. All you need to know is that both these chipsets are similar. so do not worry about this thing. S20 Fan Edition Exynos is using the all-time famous Exynos 990, famous for all the odd reasons, and the S20 FE 5G is using Snapdragon 865 chipset. During the second AnTuTu cycle, the S20 FE heated up too much and the phone gave me a temperature warning and it ended up closing the AnTuTu app. This is the very reason why I don't like the Exynos. My room temperature is about 28 degrees and the lights I am using are producing heat too, but the thing is, other two phones are running fine. This phone should have run fine too, but Exynos is Exynos and it heats up. I did try running AnTuTu on this phone after this, but it gave me the same temperature warning again and again. After the second run, the temperature of the 5G S20 FE hit 38 degrees at max from the front. A72 hit 35 degrees from the back. The phones had similar temperature once again. The battery on the A72 is now down to 97%, down to 91% on 5G S20 FE. On the Exynos, without completing the second AnTuTu cycle, the battery is already down to 90%. I tried running AnTuTu once again on all these three phones. It started well, but the Exynos FE closed it once again halfway through. Without completing all AnTuTu cycles, the temperature of the FE Exynos stayed at 37 to 38 degrees and the A72 now had a temperature of up to 37 degrees. The 5G S20 FE 5G got stuck. It did not shut down AnTuTu because of the temperature like the Exynos 990. AnTuTu is a tricky app nowadays and it's quite difficult to run this application successfully on all the phones at the same time. Anyways, after this I launched the GeekBench test, and just after the first cycle of the GeekBench, temperature of the 5G S20 FE was around 35 degrees, but the temperature of the Exynos S20 FE had gone up to 45 degrees, followed by 43 degrees on other parts of the phone. Now this is ridiculous. If it has hit 45 degrees now, imagine gaming continuously on this phone for about 2-3 hours and I bet you won't be able to hold your phone. And the temperature of the A72 was around 38 degrees this time. Second GeekBench cycle has now finished. Now the 5G S20 FE is around 38 degrees once again. Exynos S20 FE from the front is at 38 and rear is around 32 on some parts. The rear of 5G is at 38. A72 this time is about at 38 degrees, and see that battery. Exynos is now down to 83, 5G is down to 86 and the A72 is down to 93. Remember that Exynos did not finish the 2 AnTuTu cycles, even then it has lost more battery. Towards the end of this throttle test, I ran the wildlife stress test using the 3D Mark application on all the phones. A72's test was started after a few minutes, so that will take a while. The temperatures were a bit under control this time, not high as they were for the AnTuTu and the GeekBench test. The wildlife stress test scores are on your screen. After 1 hour and 13 minutes of this extreme test, A72 is now down to 87%. Exynos S20 FE is down to 76% and the 5G S20 FE is now down to 77% battery. The AnTuTu scores of all the phones are on your screen now. I did a little speed test. It was a bit tricky, but I think I should have just shuffled the icons here and there on both the fan editions to make it easy for my fingers to tap these icons. Anyways, I somehow did this and you can judge the speed of these phones. I am not a fan of this kind of speed test anymore, but I still add these tests in the videos for the sake of the users who want to see these. The photo editing seems faster on the Exynos S20 FE. 5G S20 FE is second and A72 is third. For video editing, the S20 FE 5G easily wins, even though I hit its export button in the end and it ended up exporting the video first of all. the A72 is the slowest. Anyways, with a few games in the end, with a few heavy games in the end, I ended this speed test. Let's take a quick look on the build quality and the design of these phones now. All these phones are built out of plastic, and both the S20 FE and the A72 have a matte finish. The feel of A72 is quite different and rough. A72 is relatively big and hard to use with one hand. S20 Fan Edition is small phone, it feels more premium, it is easy to use with one hand. S20 FE is about 13 grams lighter than the A72, and it also happens to be a lot slimmer than the Galaxy A72. While the A72 is IP67 certified, the S20 FE is IP68 certified. What sets these phones further apart? Well, the S20 FE has wireless charging and reverse wireless charging too. A72 has a headphone jack and the S20 FE lacks the headphone jack. The display on the A72 is 6.67 inches Full HD with 90Hz and it's protected by Gorilla Glass 5. On the S20 FE, it's a 6.5 inches Full HD display with 120Hz and it is protected by Gorilla Glass 3. The Gorilla Glass version really doesn't matter as long as you are using the phone with a very good screen protector and you don't drop your phone often. Bezels on all these phones are quite notable. Colors on all the phones look similar. The brightness on the Exynos S20 FE seems a bit low at times. Not sure what's the matter with this phone. A72 and 5G S20 FE have a really bright screen. Since this is a Super AMOLED screen on all the phones, it can perform really well under bright sunshine too. All these screens have an under-display fingerprint scanner and the fingerprint scanner technology is same, so you cannot really expect something different from these under-display fingerprint scanners. The software on all the phones right now is exactly the same. I mean the Android version and the One UI version, but the S20 FE is a flagship phone and it does get the liberty of some extra features like the wireless text, the video call filters, the object remover in the photo labs, and all those extra toggles on the S20 FE. Well, those are all the extra features of this phone. S20 FE also gets some extra goodies in the camera application, as I talked right in the start of this video. This phone's software and hardware both are much more capable than the Galaxy A72. The battery on the A72 is 5000 mAh. It comes with a 25-watt charger out of the box. S20 FE has a 4500 mAh battery with 15-watt charger out of the box. You guys just saw how drastic is the battery on the Exynos S20 FE, and on the 5G, it is not as good as the A72's battery either. Yes, the 120Hz refresh rate with 4500 mAh battery pulls down the phone's life hours, but in this department, the A72 is a clear winner. The most interesting thing is the price here. In some regions, the A72 and the S20 FE are priced closely. So here's my theory when it comes to picking one between these two devices. If the price gap between the S20 FE and the A72 in your region is below $150, get the S20 FE, preferably the 5G variant. S20 FE 5G is now coming to India as the official announcement has been made, and I am sure this phone will make its way to other countries very soon. Samsung wants to give a tough time to OnePlus 9R after all, and Samsung will have to launch this phone in all the regions. But if the price gap is more than $150, get the Galaxy A72. You will never regret getting this phone. Especially the countries where the price gap between the A72 and the S20 FE is huge, I would suggest sticking to the Galaxy A72. About the S20 FE Exynos, you have seen it in this video, and now you have an idea how this phone performs under extreme testing. And if you still want to get this phone, it completely has to be your own choice. If you think that you can live with its heating issues and it's not a big deal, you may consider that too if it goes in line with my theory of $150 price cap. And with that, this comparison comes to an end. This comparison was really difficult to shoot for me, and it took a lot of time and a couple of sleepless nights. So make sure you drop your feedback and your analysis in the comment section down below. Hit the like button if you found this video useful and subscribe in order to help me cross 50,000 subscribers as soon as possible. With that being said, I will sign off and see you all in the next one.